Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. This is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request. Okay.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County.
Recording in progress.
Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, January the 17th, 2023, 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, January 13th, 2023 at 9:45 a.m.
Thank you. All right, let's pause briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge to the flags by our Veteran Service Officer, Steve Hernandez.
Please join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Okay, this time, if there's any members of the audience that want to speak to court on business matters, please do so at this time. And no one called in. All right, seeing none, we'll go to items D under proclamations and resolutions. This is authorization of resolution to support the nomination to the P3 Public Power Pool Board of Directors. And both Commissioner Jones and myself support this, so Commissioner Jones.
So yes, this is a resolution formality for my nomination to the P3 Public Power Pool Board of Directors. There's one
And no one called in.
seat available for the.
All right, seeing none, we'll go to
non-large
item D under
counties.
proclamations and resolutions.
extra large
This is
counties.
authorization of resolution to support the nomination
This
to the
been asked
P3
to,
Public Power Pool
run
Board
for
of
this and,
Directors.
enjoy y'all's
and,
support.
Okay, thank you. Both Commissioner Jones and myself. He has been involved in that. I'm glad someone is.
So yes, this is
it's
a
a
resolution formality for my
think a
nomination
money
to
saver
the
for the county
P3
and
Public Power
taxpayers.
Pool Board of Directors.
Last
There's
several years, we
one
actually, it's a cooperative.
seat available for the.
All right, seeing none, we'll go lose out our cost of power that we use. So I would make a motion that we support this resolution.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, going to, under the consent agenda, the recommended pools are E3A, HR matter for the 474th District Court. E3B, it's HR matter for Road and Bridge Precinct 4. And E7 is a discussion on burn ban. With the exception of those, is there any other pulls recommended by the court? If not, with the exception of those recommended pulls, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with those exceptions?
So moved. Second?
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. Hold those items briefly. I'd like to first, District Attorney Josh Teetons is asked to speak to the court on matters pertaining to the DA's office, its workload, and other matters that he may bring up. So, good morning, Mr. Teetons.
Good morning, Judge. Thank y'all for letting me speak. Apologize, I'm not there in person. Headed down to Austin to see our governor get inaugurated this morning. I wanted to update the court with just some basic numbers walking into the office January 1st, so you guys could kind of have an idea of what we're dealing with. Right now, there are felony cases that are filed, 3,741. However, probably the most troubling number is that in screening cases right now, which have not been reviewed for indictment, number over 1,300 cases right now. For our misdemeanor courts, there are 3,502 filed misdemeanor cases and over 1,000 cases that have not yet been screened as well. That, in addition to the very major criminal matters that we're handling, we also have over 280 open CPS cases, well over 100 truancy cases. We don't have a full number of how many Class C tickets in the various JP courts that we have. And juvenile matters are over 150 open cases right now. But we hit the ground running, and I'm proud to say we've already hired 3 new attorneys. We've got 2 more that will start February 1st, and hopefully an additional 3 after that. We also have 2 new clerks that are filling vacancies as well that will start this week. So we are working as diligently and as quickly as we can. We're having meetings with law enforcement, judges throughout the courthouse, and we're trying to improve communication and make sure that we're doing everything we can to move those cases. And I'm happy to answer any questions the court might have, but I'd also like the opportunity to come back to y'all with updates on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. Any questions anyone would have?
I think the next time we see you will be the time that we probably have questions. I'm not sure exactly what to say right now after hearing the numbers that you gave us, so I'll hold
Yes,
any
sir.
comment till later, but I certainly appreciate you and know that you're working hard.
Thank you, sir.
Well, as I mentioned to you, we're glad to have you on board and look forward to working with you as the occasion arises. So, all right, is there a motion to approve Mr. Teton's report for recording purposes?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Pass.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir. Tell the governor, hey.
Yes, sir.
All right. Next, under E3A is a HR matter for the 474th District Court. And Anna will lead that discussion, but I want to welcome Judge Menard, Judge Coley, and our newest district judge, Alan Bennett. And congratulations for being in that chair, and we look forward to working with you.
Thanks so much, Judge Bell.
All right, y'all can come forward. And Anna, do you want to lead it off?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So we have here a request initially made by Judge Menard of the 414th and Judge Coley of the 74th. And now Judge Bennett has started with us with the 474th. So now he'll also be at the forefront of this proposal. A request is being made for a full-time position to help support Judge Bennett's upcoming, and it might already be in progress, docket of family and civil cases that will be transferred to him or is in the progress of being transferred to him. The 474th, under that department currently, there is one full-time position assigned to it. It is the juvenile court administrator who will handle the juvenile docket. So the existing juvenile court administrative position will continue to be responsible for supporting the same juvenile docket because 15% of civil and family cases will be transferred to the 474th. That's the purpose for this full-time position that's being requested. All district courts have at least 2 support positions. However, the combination of those positions varies. Some have 2 full-time positions, some have only 1 full-time position and 1 part-time position. And when I'm speaking about positions, it is just the administrative positions. I'm not referring to the court reporter positions, of course. So the logic and the establishment of the court would support the position. However, I do want to highlight case activity, as I have been now for a year. And in this past budget session, I've been highlighting OCA data or data from the Office of Court Administration to help the Commissioner's Court determine the work volume and need and resulting need for personnel for each court. And so according to OCA data, I went ahead and ran reports for the last 5 years. So from 2018 till now, I've put numbers together based off the OCA reports on cases added over the last 5 years for each civil, family, and juvenile cases. If the court would like, I can actually share my screen and we can all see that together, if that's okay.
Yes.
Created a cleaned up larger version that I'm hoping will be easier to see. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and is it three charts on my screen?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Just want to be sure I put up the right thing. So you can see my mouse cursor here is cases added, and it's broken down by year and by civil, family, and juvenile cases. The chart below that is actual cases on docket. So not just the cases added, but the cases that were already on the docket. Those numbers combined over the last 5 years, again, broken down by civil, family, and juvenile cases. And then the third report combines everything together. When I say everything, I mean civil, family, and juvenile cases combined. We have a whole number there, and it's still broken down by cases on docket and total cases added. And the most significant number here, if we isolate family cases, you can see over the past 5 years, there's been a pretty steep decline in cases added and cases on docket for family cases. And so when you summarize that here in my combined chart, overall for all three types of cases, we have a 14% drop in total cases on docket from 5 years ago, and we have a 22% decrease in total cases added from 2018 till now for all of these cases combined. So I wanted to share that with the court as I do now for the past year with any court or department that has OCA data. This is the information that I present. Are there any questions on that data?
Any questions? Any comment from judges in regards to this piece of data?
Well, I mean, I've told Anna previously to say that the juvenile court coordinator serves the 474th of the 74th. I've told her historically that was a position that was created specifically because of the requirements that came about in the 90s for juvenile courts regarding reporting requirements through DPS with a CR43J form that required additional court reporting. She handles appointment of counsel. She does a lot of stuff like a criminal court coordinator, not like a civil and a family court coordinator would. Not to mention scheduling of hearings that don't show up in OCA through detention hearings. That's just not realistic to think that the juvenile court coordinator just serves at the court that's designated as the juvenile court. In the family code, this could change. As Judge Felton, you know, you're on the juvenile board. All the elected judges are on there. 3 or 4 years from now, we could appoint a different judge to sit as the designated juvenile court. You don't want this juvenile court coordinator following a particular person who's elected. You want them serving as the juvenile court coordinator. So diluting their job functions to go do other things that the other court coordinators do, I think has a long-range planning is dangerous, because then they do a lot of things, whether it's dealing with the juvenile board, the McLennan County Challenge Academy, the appointed counsel for the juvenile court, scheduling detention hearings, warnings, working with local law enforcement to bring folks in to get statements. A lot of those things just aren't done by any other court coordinator. And I just want to make sure y'all understand that the juvenile board could appoint a different court to sit as the juvenile court, because that's how the 74th got out there. It had been Judge Logue and then Judge Strother, and then it was the 74th when they changed that designation. So that can change, and I just don't want there to be any confusion that this is actually a position that's going to follow that designated court, because they are designated for the juvenile court. Just haven't been a whole lot of shared job functions between her and my court coordinator, Molly Renfro, who's the court coordinator for the 74th. And then before that, for the 19th District Court, there were different personnel with different job responsibilities. So I just didn't want there to be any confusion, since we're talking about this in conjunction with the 474th, that there was a whole lot of overlap between the juvenile court coordinator and the role we're talking about having the court create.
Well, I think in our discussions, in our earlier discussions, that we, several years back, started looking more at or at least taking a significant look at the data and how much work, what shows up is checked off, this was handled, touched, and handled, and so we can kind of measure workloads and the needs. But there always has to be a narrative put in on all of our assumptions, which you made a good example of clarifying that regarding that person, that they're kind of trained and their skill is right in that area and not necessarily in other areas. I guess another alternative would be looking at well, there's a couple of them. One, Judge Bennett will be going into the rotation, and I'm assuming what that means is new cases coming on will be assigned out to different courts to kind of make a balanced load. So that's part of it. And then the other would be any existing cases that have been already assigned to courts that would be offloaded to the 474th. So if we look at, one option would be to hold off a little while on transferring any, and also consideration of whether he should be in the rotation first day on the job until we can get it staffed. So if we staff it, what are the options? And, you know, one of the suggestions brought up by HR was that we'd have what do we call that position,
Clerk.
Anna? Clerk. It's
A clerk position, another option, just to keep the complexity the same. We could have a part-time court administrator as well, since what's being proposed is 15% of family and civil cases being transferred to the 474th, where the other family civil courts are handling 30%. So be half of that workload. So a part-time would be a part-time court administrator making the same hourly rate as a full-time court administrator is another option.
Right, and then I guess I see one issue with that is if the full 15% comes on fairly fast, then you would have to have someone with more qualifications to be the full, have all the abilities of a court coordinator. And so, just pitching that out to the court, do we
Judge,
take?
could I address that a little bit?
Please, absolutely.
So, effective January 1st, Mr. Gimbel started assigning cases to my court in that rotation. And as of last Friday, I had 8 new suits that had been filed in the 474th. And there are a variety of different kinds of lawsuits. I understand the numbers are low, if you will, and it's probably going to take a month or so before people start really acting on those cases, at least so far. But someone could file a suit tomorrow asking for a TRO, a temporary injunction, and need more immediate attention to their case.
Right.
And so this discussion about a part-time administrator really concerns me, because the public, the attorneys in these lawsuits that are assigned to my court, they need to be able to have someone to contact 8 to 5 to request settings and things of that nature. And even though the numbers assigned to my court right now are small, they still need that full service. They still need a qualified administrator that can attend to all of those things. And, you know, by the end of the year, 200, 250 cases may be filed in my court in addition to any that are transferred over. And I guess one other thing I would add is the CPS docket is going to be transferred to my court. Now, Judge Monkowski hears those at the ground level, if you will, but the parties are entitled to a de novo review of her decisions. And throughout the year, there will be parents, even the department sometimes, requesting de novo hearings, and those are on a short fuse. And so, again, we need an administrator full-time in place to be ready to get those cases set. If someone that's filed one of these lawsuits called my court tomorrow, they wouldn't really have anyone to talk to, you know? And I appreciate the importance of the data. I appreciate that we're starting at ground zero on January 1 moving forward. But I just think because of the complexity of the potential cases, the different kinds of cases that will be filed in my court, it's really important to have an experienced full-time administrator there to address those issues.
Commissioner Smith?
I'm sorry.
What? Okay, my comments would be, I wouldn't support a part-time
just because somebody needs to be there all the time, because you don't know when anything's going to happen, and them not be present. So that necessarily doesn't make sense to me. So then the only question becomes a full-time court clerk or court administrator, those two positions. And what I'm hearing from everyone here is you feel that needs to be an administrator position as opposed to just a clerk position. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what has always filled that role for the court that's been the juvenile court, is to have a different court
That
administrator.
leads directly into my question was going to be now too, the skill set, the difference between a clerk and a court administrator and a skill set is, I'm assuming, fairly significant because the responsibilities are a lot greater. So I get that piece of it there. If you go with a clerk, you may be going with a skill set that's not quite up to par for what you need. And then secondly, you're talking about the cases that are being assigned. We've got a pipeline, right? It's just feeding out of a pipeline. It's not like we're having to wait. It's just when do they release them to you? Am I right there? It's not like we're waiting on these cases to happen out there. They pretty much have, and we're just waiting on them to work through the process to get assigned to your court. So they're gonna come sooner or later.
That's right. I mean, and Mr. Gimbel already has a system in place, and they're automatically assigned according to those percentages that the district judges established.
Well, and I'll just add too, right now Judge Meyer and I do 45% of all civil and family. So this shift is to give him a higher percentage, but along with that was going to be to shift cases over to him in some cases that are set for trial that he could go ahead and try. I may have 7 trials set on any given Monday, only one can go. So he could have more cases pending, but I was asked not to do that until we get this issue resolved. So he can have more cases now. It's just this issue's kind of looming out there, so we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
One other point I ask. Hearing our district attorney's numbers this morning, assuming they can fast forward, get everybody on board and move those cases forward, that could significantly affect the court cases coming before you. Is that correct? I mean, as they get past the district attorney, assuming that happens, then that's going to create additional cases to be heard in the courts.
That's the pent-up demand.
Yeah.
And the space is where that really gets.
Isn't that a true statement?
The problem is the space to try those cases, because you can't try an adult criminal case over at Bill Logue. And so we're kind of back to, we may have a judge to do it, we may not have space to do it.
Okay.
And we had agreed whenever we agreed on these numbers that the 2 felony court judges felt like they were fine. They didn't need another criminal court, but that Judge Coley would be available to do criminal trials. Now, part of the issue with that, of course, is he doesn't have a jury room. So, we have to work around all of our logistical issues. But yes, is the answer to the question. As those cases start moving, we may need to look at that. But, that'll be handled.
Within, yeah, sure.
Correct.
And I'm certainly willing to help Judge West, Judge Kelly with their docket as I'm able to. So I'm a team player. That's what I want to be.
Appreciate that.
So if we equip you, I understand what you're saying. If we equip you, you're ready to go to work regardless and get these cases resolved.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had a question for Anna. You proposed 2 options to the court, and one was the clerk option, and then you propose a court admin assistant. Because there is no district court that has 2 court administrators at this time, is there?
That's correct.
Okay, so your second option is a court admin assistant at the $52,000?
Yes, ma'am.
And the only reason I look at that, it goes back, I'm not sure if it was Commissioner Smith or Commissioner Perry that said it, but the skill set. But what I am thinking is if they open this up, I'm sure that the ladies that currently work in the district courts offices, whether clerks or not, will probably look at this as a promotion, maybe opportunity, or you may get somebody new. I'm thinking you're gonna get someone with probably minimal experience in the district courts. It'll probably be somebody that wants to move up. So I guess we have two things. You can get a person, and I've done it before, that comes in as a clerk, but they have the capacity to be more than a clerk. And that person would grow as you see if they are effective and efficient in what you need them to do. Or you would get a person that would come in as that admin assistant, which is what all the district courts are doing throughout the county. They have one court administrator, some of them have one, some of them have two court admin assistants at that 52. I didn't see anybody with two court administrators. I think the skill set is important. It has to be somebody that can do the work. But then I also see what is relevant is how much of that work will they be doing in the course of a day? Because if you're saying that the juvenile court administrator is dedicated to that work, she's not sharing her work, is what I hear you saying. So she's just doing that work.
That's right.
So this other person is just there for this 15%. Now, is that 15%, because the last time you came, you said he would get 15% of those civil cases. But now it sounds like that's fluid. He's getting 15%. So then my issue is the workload of that person. And I think that's where HR was wrangling with, how do you classify that person? But what is important is they do have to have the skill set.
Right, and what Judge Menard was saying is it would open up the ability, she has 7 ready to go to trial on a Monday. They don't all go. Well, we can get 2 of them knocked out. We can move one over. I think we need just a little bit of vision in how quickly this position is probably, I agree right now, maybe the numbers aren't there today, but I would hate for it to become a crisis in your courtroom because we waited too long to put someone in that position.
I don't think there's an issue with a position. I think what we're determining is, what does that position look like? I think that's what we're trying to finalize.
Judge, I certainly respect everyone's position on this and Anna's, how much work she's done with this, looking to the future, just to get the ball rolling. I would tell you, I support the court administrator in that position. Okay?
I can't go with a second administrator. No other court has a second administrator. I could go with an admin assistant.
I can provide some clarity. So there currently is not a court that has 2 court administrators, but last year, before the split for the 474th, Judge Coley's court, the 74th, did have 2 court administrators, one for juvenile, but one of them went with Judge Coley for the 74th to support his, or maintain his civil family docket.
So Judge Coley's the problem? Is that what I'm hearing?
But what I'm
When
saying
that
is
juvenile
that
court
position
administrator
still-
position was created years ago, it was always somebody that just served juvenile. And when Judge Logue had it created years ago, it was designated to be out there. And it really, I mean, y'all don't want to go back to the 90s on how it was created, but it offloaded a lot of probation work that was backloaded in probation, but there wasn't a court administrator to do it. So that was sort of how they resolved several different job functions as they rolled it into this juvenile court administrator. So, I mean, I did have a 74th District Court administrator in addition to a juvenile court administrator. The 19th had a court administrator in addition to the juvenile court administrator. So that's just a different job altogether. It's not.
Okay, I'm trying to visualize what you're saying, but are they under 2 different courts? You have one under the 74th, and then there was one tied to the
Juvenile
court.
That's right.
Okay.
That way, if a different court gets designated as the sitting juvenile court, that person just is still a juvenile court administrator. They are-
Right, but the other court still has the
The court-
support
that's right.
of an administrator.
That's right.
But this idea is to put 2 administrators under one court?
No, just create one court administrator, because right now, there's not a court administrator position created for the 474th.
The current administrator is the juvenile court administrator, And the juvenile court is assigned to the 474, if you will, but it's not the
Are we
474.
operating two courts within your court?
Essentially,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're doing.
Juvenile.
I mean, if the juvenile cases were decided to be moved to a different court, that juvenile administrator would move to over there, because
That's
that's
correct.
all they're going to.
That's
handle.
right.
Okay.
Have we ever
So-
done that?
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah, that's.
Moving the juvenile court?
Well, we did it when the 19th was doing it. When the 414th was
I
created,
remember that.
that's when they made the decision that Judge Mayfield would take all the juvenile stuff and the CPS stuff. And so they kept that juvenile court coordinator position functioning. And then that's when his court administrator went out there with them.
Well, I know it's majority rule. With 15% of the cases and with the current numbers, I could see why administrator is preferred over a clerk. But I would go with the alternative option through HR and the court admin assistant.
I'd like to point out that back in 2018, when there was 20%, 22% more volume amongst these three types of cases, there were only 5 full-time positions. Now we have 6 full-time positions amongst these courts that share this case, and we have 22% less volume of work. I just want to highlight that as kind of the reason why HR is struggling with the recommendation and why it's not just a clear-cut, full-time court administrator recommendation.
Anna, my question to that is, you're talking about the reduction in activity.
That's right. There's an inefficiency amongst the courts that handle.
Just like statistics out in the economy, they always trail the news. So what I'm thinking is we pretty much shut everything down for that period of time. Will we see that 22% start trending upward again? I would imagine we have to. So while I appreciate that data, I don't want to put too much into it, knowing that, we went through a pandemic, and I think everything slowed down where you had to have congregations of people together. And so I think that's probably why we're seeing that. With the numbers we're hearing, I can't see it continue trending down. At some point, we're going to take that turn.
Our county's growing,
Yeah.
and so
Population growth, yeah.
you're gonna have more people getting divorced.
Well, that was the basis why we added a new district
Or
court. so,
car wrecks and things like that.
Yeah, you're right.
So Anna, what I'm going to ask you real quickly, the two options that you've thrown out to us is truly what they're asking for. The closest to what they're asking for would be the court administrative assistant, correct?
Right, that's correct.
All right, I'm inclined, I think what I heard Commissioner Smith saying is to the court administrator. Are you leaning in that direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and let me add in, I believe, and I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and look, that there's a statute that requires judges to be, a new judge to be equipped with a court administrator.
Okay.
I didn't
The
hear
language is
anything
court
you said.
coordinator.
A court coordinator, I'm sorry.
Well, if the statute requires it, why are we even having the discussion?
Well, because the issue is whether you have a part-time or full-time court coordinator, but I tend to agree with what Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Perry are saying is things are gonna go up, and there's no doubt about that. There's gonna be an increase in not just cases, but when these criminal cases come on board, who knows what's going to happen? So it seems like that a part-time court coordinator wouldn't be there to handle the things the full day, and people, especially attorneys.
So is the
Really
coordinator
demand
an administrator?
It's court.
I mean,
they're look-
because
yeah,
Mike
they're-
keep using the term coordinator. Are they one and the same?
They're one and the same.
They're one and the same.
Unless judges speak up if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, I think you're right. I think that HR has classified those as administrators, but I think the lawyers and the judges still call them coordinators. So I think that it's the same thing as far as what that person does.
And Mr. Dixon's right, 74.101 of the government code says each district judge may appoint a court coordinator, and that's the term the statute uses. And other staff, I think that's a different statute in there, but the statute authorizes the courts to appoint that position. And obviously, we're going to do it through the context of the commissioners, the county budget, and the personnel systems that are in place.
And so the young lady doing juvenile is not considered the court coordinator or administrator that you've appointed. What is she? Is she just hanging out there? What is she?
I
'Cause
think
you are
she-
acting like she's just kind of flying over here doing her own thing.
She's flying over there doing everything.
Uh-huh.
She probably bills more hours than any other court administrator in the county.
But I'm
her
asking
job
her,
is,
her
But she-
logistics to the court. I'm trying to figure out.
She is a coordinator or.
she's a coordinator, but it's for the juvenile court. So it is,
But he's not the juvenile court.
not yet. He's going to get designated as being the juvenile court, but he does other things also, just like I did.
Right. So, and I'm trying to get the connection of that statute that
Right.
Mike is talking about.
So I think it's important again to remember, to consider that there's really two separate court dockets that we're managing here. And we have a juvenile court administrator to administer the juvenile docket. And I would say that the statute speaks to my authority to appoint an administrator to administer the 474th docket, which is going to be that 15% of the civil and family law cases, plus whatever else the judges may transfer, send jury trials over for, things of that nature.
So the way I said, his job or the judge's job is to select someone, appoint it. Our job is to fund the position. So we're working.
I'd make a motion at this time to approve the request of the judges to create a position, a new full-time position for the 474th. And I will say court administrator / coordinator, so we cover up both. But I think I've heard enough this morning to feel that the need is there, so that's my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Yes.
I just say, can Audit just clarify exactly what that title will be in the salary, the annual salary?
So it's court administrator. It sounds like it's what it's wanted, and give me just a moment and I can pull it back. Standard salary we have for that position.
52,303.
No, that is the court admin assistant salary.
Okay.
So the court administrator salary is higher. It's 58,536.
Okay, got that clarification. Any other discussion?
Can we do a vote so I can
Yeah,
abstain?
if we, we'll call for a vote, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
I'm going to abstain because I just really want to stay close to the data and the rationale that HR gave to the issue. So I'm abstaining.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all. Appreciate y'all.
Good luck to you,
Have a
Judge.
great week.
Good one.
Okay. Going to item, under M1, have Startup Waco, John Passavant on, that's going to give us an update on.
Judge, we'll need to defer this today. There was a miscommunication. So Chrissy so they'll be on the next court agenda. So if we could, I'd make a motion to defer.
We can have motion to defer. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Okay. What item is that?
Oh, no, she just here.
Would you like to do it?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, good morning. As we move and transition to the next item that we're going to take up, I just wanted to briefly state that we have our newly elected Justice of the Peace for Precinct 5 with us this morning, Judge Lucy Ann Sanchez Miramontes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine. Welcome to McLennan County's elected official group.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there anything we can do for you? Getting it all in order?
Yes, slowly but surely, we're getting it all in order.
Okay.
And I appreciate everybody's helpfulness and kindness while I transition into the role. I've had wonderful support from the county, so.
Good, good. Well, welcome. If we can't help you, please let us.
Is that an agenda item or?
No, she just here.
Okay, there's not an agenda.
It's recognition.
Okay.
All right, going to item, let's see here, let's go to under E7. This is, pertains to the, discussion on burn ban. I'd like to call on Elizabeth.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Elizabeth. I saw the numbers this morning. They don't appear to be where you normally would have a burn ban, and so I thought we'd have a discussion about the numbers and any information about that, but also the discussion on red flag warnings, which does come up from time to time, and you might talk about the circumstances and then how that message is relayed to the public.
Okay, perfect. I'll start with the burn ban information first. So I'll go over the numbers just to give everybody the same information. So for McLennan County, looking at the KDVI, which just a reminder for everyone, that's the Keach Byram Drought Index. So that's looking at kind of how much moisture is in the ground right now, along with the drought. There's a lot of different factors that go into that number. So our minimum right now is 170, our max is 406, and our average is about 304. We typically, whenever we look at implementing a burn ban, we look at the KDVI around kind of that 475 to 500 range. That's typically when we start to see more danger. That's not the only consideration we take whenever I recommend to the court to implement the burn ban. We look at information from the Texas A&M Forest Service, looking at information such as the forecasted fire danger, how dry it's been, are we expecting any rain? Also talking to the volunteer fire departments if they're seeing an increase in wildfires that they're having to respond to. That's kind of all the information that we kind of take in to make sure they understand where the burn ban is. Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate that. So that kind of gives you a picture of our current map of where we're looking at for McLennan County at this time. So hopefully we'll get some rain in the next couple weeks or two. I could definitely see us moving towards a burn ban probably next court session if we do not get this rain. But does anybody have any questions about kind of the burn ban information before I move to the red flag warning?
Talk about the red flag warning. I know we've had some windy days, and I noticed this past weekend, in fact, the past week, we've had several fires where people start burning on real windy days, and they have plenty of fuel around them.
Perfect. So a red flag warning, that is issued by the National Weather Service. And so it's a combination, again, of a lot of different factors, but it means that there's warm temperatures, low humidities, and strong winds. And so that means that there's kind of that increased risk of that fire danger. And so those warnings are issued by the National Weather Service. And we have a red flag warning burn ban order in place that's on our website. That's been pulled up. So that means that we do not, even though, like, let's say for today, for example, we don't have a burn ban in place for our unincorporated areas in McLennan County. However, if a red flag warning was issued by the National Weather Service, then that would prohibit burning out in the county, even if there was no official burn ban in place. And those are just like this, like I said, those are issued by the National Weather Service. We had actually worked with Reagan and Chiquinta from IT to go ahead and put this radar onto our onto the county's website, and you can click on it and it'll actually pull up if there is a red flag warning that's been issued by the National Weather Service from our local office that's forecasted. That comes from our DFW local forecast office.
Are you aware if the other media's radio, television, or Tribune Herald ever talk about red flag warnings?
I think it's come up in the past. It may be a good reminder, and we can reach out to them to talk to them about reminding everyone what a red flag warning is. That is something that we can pursue to maybe do a little spotlight to highlight for them. Because I know we do get questions. Sometimes our office gets calls, and we typically check on the National Weather Service page to make sure it's been issued. Or the fact is we've added this radar onto the website, and so people have that information for themselves. But that's something we can visit to just give an explanation over.
I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
You know, I see most of the news stations, or the news station that I watch, they do give a, you know, when we're in a fire forecast.
Good.
According to that
and it's
one
that
map
same.
that she put up, it appears eastern McLennan County is stealing water from the west side of McLennan County.
Yeah, that's what happens. We're kind of on that line.
Yep.
All right. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve Elizabeth's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, I'd like to go, thank you, Elizabeth. I'd like to go
Thank you, sir.
to item E3B, HR matter for Road and Bridge Precinct 4.
And Judge Anna just messaged me that she has to step away to take care of a family matter. And so Commissioner Perry, did you want to address this, or would you like me to step through it?
No, I can certainly address this. So we have a couple positions right now in Precinct 4. We're seeing decreasing numbers of qualified CDL people coming in just because they can make a lot of money somewhere else. So instead of hiring someone with a CDL that maybe doesn't quite fit in, maybe doesn't have the skill set we're looking for, what we're looking to do is take one of those positions that's open right now and create an entry-level position. It would be more in the form of a sign guy with other responsibilities, but it gives us a whole new pool of applicants to look at, and we get that guy that if we hire right, we should be able to move this person through our system and get them into a position where they're eligible for a CDL down the road. But more importantly right now, I think getting a good qualified worker that gets along with everybody out there and becomes part of the team is more important than just having the CDL. So we are requesting let me find it right here. So what we're asking for, she and HR recommends and requests Commissioners Court approval to reclassify the heavy truck driver position to fulfill entry-level labor need for the precinct. HR requests this change to be effective today so that the position can be posted to accept employment applications. Do any of you have any questions or comments?
Any questions? Go ahead.
Just one comment, and I agree with your methodology. I would just ask that in approving it, because I don't have a problem with it, if we could just kind of blanket it where any commissioner, if they saw the need to request a position like this in their department, if we could also have that option, and we wouldn't have to come back before the court, we'd be able to reclassify a position with the authorization given today.
Absolutely. Dustin, do you see an issue with that? That makes total sense to me, but.
We're not posted like that for today. I mean, this is specific to Road and Bridge Precinct 4, but I think we could put an item on the next court agenda to address it for all Road and Bridge precincts, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. You good, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, that sounds good to me. And with that being said, if there are no other questions or comments, I would make a motion to approve E3B.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, thank you. I think that takes care of all the pulled items. I could go to item, under item F, budget amendments, transfers. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
Yes, sir. So we have a couple budget amendments for FY22. These expenses have long occurred in the past, but as we do adjustments for year end, a lot of times we need to adjust the budget as well. So there are two budget amendments there, one for general fund. It's various departments, all personnel related. And then also F1B is the law library fund, also a personnel line item that needs adjusting. And then I can go ahead and do F2.
Okay, let me get these, I'm sorry, under F1, F1A and F1B. If there's not any questions, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, F2 regarding the FY '23 budget.
So starting with F2A, this is a budget amendment in the 2021 bond proceeds. An adjustment is needed to the line for cabling at 1211 Washington. There is an attached quote to that there as well, and I believe that's another item on the agenda as well that you'll be approving today.
Okay.
But that increases that line item by the amount shown from the contingencies in that bond fund. F2B1, this is an F2B1 and 2. Actually, these are both out of the Language Access Fund. So if you remember, this was a new fund that we set up this year for a portion of civil fees. And so this fund is used exclusively for language translation at the courts. And so we've already had several amendments to this fund this year because it is being utilized, and we should be cleaning this fund out early in the year each year, which is good. That's what it's there for. So the first one, F2B1, is for the 19th District Court, increasing that language translation line. And then F2B2 is JP11, increasing their language translation line. And then moving to F2C, so this is General Fund 170th District Court, and they're requesting to move within their department from furniture and equipment into repair and maintenance to cover a BIS digital maintenance contract. F2D, this is General Fund capital outlay. So this is a purchase that was initiated in the prior fiscal year. It was office furniture and equipment for Constable Precinct 4 Adam McGregor. The invoice has just now been presented to us by the vendor, and it's been found that the items did not make it to county property until the first of this fiscal year. So we are needing to do a budget amendment to properly account for the expense in this current year. So you'll see that we are requesting to move from contingencies into capital for that purpose. F2E, this is General Fund 54th District Court, requesting to move within their department into repair and maintenance, also for a BIS digital maintenance contract. F2F, this is General Fund Road and Bridge Precinct 3. The request is to move within their department into other services and charges for litter abatement cost. And then F2G, this is a certification of revenue for grant money from the LATCF grant. We talked briefly about this on the last agenda. The total grant's $100,000, but $50,000 is the current year amount. So we are going to account for that in general fund. It's to be used for general governmental services. And we discussed last week that you were all on board to use that for expenses that were already budgeted in general fund. It frees up budget within the general fund. So we just chose a line item. We're using utilities to match up with those grant proceeds. So there's the corresponding budget amendment increasing the federal grant revenue as well as a utilities line related to that grant.
Okay, any questions about any of those?
The F2D, the money that wasn't spent in 2022 then just goes back into the general fund?
Yes, it's just not, it's money that we anticipated spending but did not, so
Okay,
yes.
so it'll change that portion of the budget?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It would have been included in our estimate when we brought it to
I guess it decreases assigned and increases unassigned, right? Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same amount?
Yes, yes. So, when we bring the estimated beginning fund balance for each year at budget time, it's just based on what we know at that time. So lots of things happen. Never a perfect number, but some of these larger items can make a significant impact.
My question, The amount that we approved in 22, it is the same amount that they're?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve F2A through F2G?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under G is bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1, this goes with agenda item F2A, which is previously mentioned on the quote from Extraco Technology for $3,805 for cabling at 1211 Washington Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Under G2 is authorization of my telephone quote from A&A Technology Group. David?
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
This request is to add an additional 11 of the 6920 model phone devices. We have a few of the older 5000 series that are temporarily being used in a couple of areas just to get us by, but this 11 would both allow us to get those unsupported devices back off and also allow us to have a few back in the closet for future use.
Okay, any questions?
David, when you say unsupported, what does that mean? That if they break,
Basically,
you can't-
that if the older models break, they're not up for replacement any further for that particular model with the departments.
Okay.
So they would have to, at that point, turn around and order the newer device.
Thank you.
Any other
Yes, sir.
questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
All right, under H, under contracts and local agreements, under H1, authorization service order agreement with Astron Business Solutions. Shaquinta?
Yes, hi, good morning.
Morning.
We have a service contract for the Highway 6 jail that covers their internet and phone services with Astound Business Solutions. The previous 3-year term will expire on January 16th, and the renewal rate will be $415, which is the same rate as their previous 3-year contract. Normally, these roll over to month, just in case there's any type of service issue. It'll make sure that the service continues to run. And for this one, we are requesting to renew it at the 3 years.
All right, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Under item
Thank
H2, regarding agreements with CTWP for archives record management on the copier. Ken?
Yes, sir. The court approved the purchase and a maintenance agreement for a copier for the county archives on 12/6. We went to order the copier after court approval, and we found out that that machine was no longer available. So I'm asking that the court rescind those original documents. Then CTWP gave us a new quote on a comparable model. As a matter of fact, it's the newer version of that previous copier, and it's the same price, and the maintenance agreement is the same price. So we're rescinding the first one and putting in new documents for the second one.
Okay. Any questions? Not, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, under H2B, authorization of new sale order agreement and service agreement with CTWP. Ken?
I think we just did that.
Oh, yeah, I was.
We did them both?
I thought we did.
I was asking.
You were asking to do both, okay.
Yeah, okay. Then so it's approved. All right, going to item H3 is authorization of support and maintenance agreement with Excella Technologies. David, morning. All right. Don't hear from him, so this is authorizing renewal of support maintenance agreement with Excella Technologies totaling $1,504.53, which is.
I'm sorry,
slightly
Judge,
higher
I'm
than
here.
last year.
There he is.
Hello, David, morning.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was couldn't quite get off the phone line quick enough. The Excella Technologies is our HOV services paper vision system. It's what we use for all of our scanning digital records. So we've been going back and trying to backlog the records to make paper records digital. And this service is something that we've had for years and years, and it just helps us continue that mission of maintaining digital records over paper.
Okay. All right, any questions for David? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. Under H4, authorization of professional service agreement and related geotechnical pavement proposal. Zane?
Yes, sir. This agreement is with Langerman Engineering. It's to drill 3 holes near East Rayner Road in Precinct 3. We're going to be repairing a low water crossing. The cost to do the geotech work is $8,300, and it's been reviewed. The proposal's been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay. Is this in the south part of the county?
Precinct 3. It's kind of west of west.
That may be a typo on Rayner, but I think it's Renner Road. But anyhow, nevertheless, any questions for Zane? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Thank you. All right, Zane, under H5, authorization of road use agreement with True North Solar.
Yes, sir. This is a road use agreement that's been written by our legal counsel and has been agreed upon with the True North Solar LLC. They plan to build a solar farm in Falls County, but are requesting the use of a few McLennan County roads to access Falls County. Those McLennan County roads would be East Lake Creek Road and Waltz Road, just southwest of Mart. And they will survey the roads to make sure that they're capable of handling the truck traffic. And if anything becomes or befalls to the road, if the roads get in bad condition because of their truck traffic, then they will repair the roads at their cost. Like I said, legal has reviewed this. My office has reviewed this, and so it's recommended for approval.
So will you do an inspection of those roads once they're completed? Is that how that works?
Yes, sir. I'll drive them, as well as the road and bridge foreman will drive them to make sure that they are as good as they are before any work is initiated.
Okay. All right, any questions?
Is there a time frame on this, Zane, that they do it from point, time A to time B and finish? So are we talking about perpetuity or what?
Well, the way it was written in the agreement was that as long as the solar farm is in existence.
In existence or just construction?
Well, they got to construct it, and then they have to maintain that solar farm as they need to. And that's the way they access Falls County, is these 2 roads here.
Okay. And I assume that the maintenance or the condition of the road, the guarantee is written in, and we have a way of enforcing that guarantee?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Not what's pleasure of the court?
I move to approve H5.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Under I is capital improvements, repairs. We have nothing this week. Similarly, under J, under real estate right-of-ways, have nothing this week. Going to items F, under grants and grants proposals. Under K1, Dustin.
Yes, sir. This is our ARPA discussion. Mike has a quick update on the radios for the VFDs. Mike, are you on?
Yes. As you know, we approved the radios for the VFDs to come through the Fire Association. Y'all approved it. There was a resolution that we've got a signed agreement, but we administratively held off on it to try to get these VFDs to get their SAM numbers, which is a bureaucratic mess. There's been a delay in them getting it. We talked to Forvis. Forvis said because the Fire Association has a SAM number, we can proceed. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with the radio project.
All right. Any questions anyone have? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
And Judge, that technically won't take any action. We've approved the agreement. We were just holding it until the completion of those SAM numbers. So.
All right. Okay.
All right, and
go ahead, Dustin.
sorry. Just moving on to K1A, it's regarding the professional consulting contract with Lockwood, Andrews, and Noonan invoice. We need to pull this with no action. They included a couple of different projects on one invoice. And I visited with Tom. They're going to separate those out and resubmit it back to us.
Okay, pull it. We'll talk about it next time. All right.
Yes, sir. And then under K2, this is the bipartisan infrastructure law. And Judge, I know you might want to share some about your conversation with Georgina Ibarra from TLC, but they are preparing an update and hopefully they'll be here either next court session or one of the court dates in February to visit with the court and kind of have a work session.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going to say. That and I told her we're expecting a report from them. Not only about what's out there, but how we access those and what kind of efforts are being put behind that. And just told her we needed some feedback. We need to know what's going on. So, but there's other than that, there is a lot of money out there, primarily on the federal side, but there's also opportunity statewide that we'll be looking at. I also asked her about any legislation that's out there on the state side that we should support or oppose, and that'll be part of the report that we get. All right, if there's any questions anyone have? If not, is there a motion to approve that for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, under K3, regarding the Texas Indigent Defense Commission Indigent Defense Improvement Grant Program. So call on Judge Hodges and Katie McMullen. Good morning.
Judge Hodges, if you're on mute. And if not, Judge, I can handle it. So back in 2020, we were awarded a grant from the Indigent Defense Commission. That grant required a plan of operation to be developed and in place. And so before you today is that plan to get approved by the Commissioner's Court.
Okay. All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the plan.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, under K4, regarding Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, Francis.
Sure, so this is the fourth quarter 2022 reimbursement request for Title IV legal assistance claims. So specifically, this is reimbursing us for salary costs at the DA's office.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve K4.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? passed. Under L2 is county auditor's recording announcement of Government Finance Officers Association. Francis?
Yes, sir. So if you remember, for fiscal year '22, Haley Gilbert in our office took the initiative to take our budget document and make it eligible for the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And the county received that award for the first time in the history of the county. So for fiscal year '23, a substantial amount of information still needed to be added into that document for us to be eligible. So Heather Garrett came on board and assisted us. So Haley and Heather worked behind the scenes all through budget workshops this past summer and added the necessary information. And I'm proud to announce that the county has once again received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the second year in a row. I think our budget was already very transparent, but adding this additional information, to me, it just gives a lot more context to those numbers. So I think it makes it more usable internally, but also externally for who's looking at that document. It is a national award program. So out of counties, cities, school districts, universities, retirement systems, special districts, the last list I saw, there's about 1,800 recipients of this award nationwide. On a national level, 265 counties receive this award, and then specifically for Texas, only 17 counties in Texas receive it. So I think it's just something for y'all to be really proud of and to be a part of.
Yep.
And out of those 17 Texas counties, if you look at the list, they're all substantially larger than us. Just to give you some information there. Our goal is to continue to attempt to receive this award each year. So we'll update just based on changing criteria or what they recommend to us each year. And we just, of course, want to say thank you to the court for all the care and due diligence y'all take to adopt the budget, as well as all the departments that are funneling information to us to spit back out to y'all and to make, in turn, you can make good decisions based on that information. So it's definitely a team effort here at the county, so.
Well, receiving it 2 years in a row is a set trend, so we're gonna expect it,
That's right.
here on.
We will.
The bar has been raised.
And then there's a video that GFOA sent. It's from the executive director. It's just about a minute, and William's gonna
Okay.
share that.
Can't hear you.
Is that really his office, or is that one of those deals that just shows a different?
They're based in Chicago. It's
Okay,
their
that's really his
headquarters for
office then. I thought maybe it was just a seat behind him.
Kind of looked like looking out my back window at the office.
Yeah, me too.
There's no road construction now.
Yeah, building about to be raised and all that good.
This award program is to encourage and assist governments through a comprehensive and understandable budget document that we believe will both improve transparency and trust in government. To earn the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, you met demanding program criteria. Such a record reflects the professionalism, commitment, and dedication of your organization's leaders and finance. We hope that this award will serve as an example and encourage others to strive for the same high standards in their own budget documents. Therefore, it is my privilege, on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association, to present to you this Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. Congratulations.
All right. Well, congratulations indeed, and thank you very much. I think that you've really done a good job in working with us, and obviously the proof's in the pudding that, to get these kind of awards.
That's great.
Please extend our thanks also to all the folks that worked on getting us
Heather and
there.
Haley, you say? Heather and Haley did the,
It's a lot involved, but they're the two that you see that are most involved with the budget
Thank you.
preparation.
Yeah,
Great job.
and,
Great.
so,
Judge, I would move to accept the announcement for recording of the GFOA's DBPA
2023, because I love acronyms.
Yes. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The only discussion I'd have is hopefully, maybe the Tribune Herald will pick this up since they listen in diligently. We'll see.
Yeah.
And report that, we try to run government at the highest standards.
It's very, very transparent, that's for
Yeah.
certain.
Exactly.
Right.
That's true, exactly.
Okay. No other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, going to item L3, Justice Peace Precinct 5, authorization of cell phone request. Ken?
Yes, we received this request for a smartphone with the hotspot capabilities. The phone service is $39.99. The hotspot feature adds an additional $5 with the case for $39.99.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes. Ken, do we do this with all of our JPs, with the phones and this hotspot, or how does that work?
Well, just those that requested, Commissioner. I mean, again, the hotspot, a lot of people are asking, have asked for separate hotspots, but you have that capability on your phone for a lesser cost in itself. So others do have it, and it's not an unusual request.
Okay. Very good.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, come forward.
Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
I requested the phone, just to kind of help explain, after speaking with some of the judges. They've all been great, and they were advising that it would be best because at some point or time, maybe my phone records would have to be subpoenaed. So they were like, it would be in your best interest to request a county cell phone and not use your personal phone for
Absolutely.
county business. So I went ahead, as soon as I spoke with them and got information, I went ahead and put that request in. I know how to do the hotspot on the phone, so I don't necessarily need that. So if that doesn't need to be included, I'm okay with that.
Wouldn't you be out somewhere that you might need that hotspot, though, out in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. You need it.
You're gonna have to
Oh.
send
Yeah.
documents, you may need to send documents
need
from
it.
the scene of something, and it may not be the.
Oh, okay.
It would make more sense to have it than not have it.
You may know
Yes.
better than me on that. Okay.
Well, it's highly unusual for this court to encourage any elected official to spend more money. So,
Hey, we're saving you a trip coming back, is what we're saying. You're gonna need it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think you will.
Well, thank y'all.
let's see, we have a motion yet?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Yeah, any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right. Next, under L4, Community Supervision and Corrections Department, and Adult Probation under L4, approval of order of accepting certain property donated by Community Supervision and Corrections Department. Ken?
This is a court order that I've presented to the court before, and because of items are purchased with state money, we do a court order where we're accepting a donation of the vests, which comes to us officially so that we can declare them waste and then dispose of them properly. And so it's a twofold court order in that we're accepting a donation from adult probation, and then we're taking it and having, getting help from the sheriff's department that had those destroyed. It's not something that we're going to ever reissue.
Okay. All right. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to?
Move to approve L4A.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. L4B, Ken?
Yes. We've also received a request from adult probation. They are sending folks out of town, and they're using bus lines to do that. And we're requesting from the court kind of a blanket approval, allowing us to use the credit card to secure them bus tickets to send these people to where they need to get to by bus. We do that, you know, on other deals for air flights and stuff like that. And so this is something that's just come back up recently where they're sending people out of town using the bus lines.
All right, any questions?
Yeah, the only one I have says the county ultimately is reimbursed through the transfer of CSCD state funding. Who tracks that?
So it's, when that charge comes through in the card, it literally just gets charged to the grant fund. But adult probation grant funds are incorporated into pooled cash anyway, but yes, it is charged to the grant and kept track.
So auditor's okay with this?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Under L5, information technology approval of order declaring certain property as not meeting the criteria for salvage or surplus. Shaquinta?
Hi, good morning again. We are requesting approval for destruction of multiple Surface Pros from Highway 6 Medical and Jack Harwell. 3 of them from Jack Harwell have broken screens, and even if they are powered on, they will not effectively work with visibility. The others have been replaced with newer technology, and these items are no longer in support of our technology environment. Due to the hard drives being built into the motherboard, IT staff are unable to remove and wipe the data from these devices, so we would like to securely protect the data, and the motherboards will need to be physically destroyed. If you have any questions, I can take those now.
Okay, any questions? No questions, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve L5.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, under M, we already, we deferred that action. Under N, nothing in court this week. Under O is McLennan County Venue Project. We have nothing under that item. Going to
O2.
Going to item O2, authorization of easement right-of-way for Encore Electric Delivery Services. Ken?
As the court may recall, we had contacted Encore and had quotes to remove the electric service from the Paul Tyson Field area, but we also need to rerun a line to keep the show barn back there at the back electrified. This requires an easement from the county to run the line back over to that service barn. So this is the easement to allow us to run that line.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Is this a permanent line that we're running? So this is a permanent easement right away, or is this temporary?
Permanent.
It's permanent. Okay.
And there's no cost to this, correct, that they're
No.
passing on? Okay.
Right. The cost was incorporated in the original quotes that we had.
Move to approve O2.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. Now, you know, you bring up a good point, Commissioner, about the permanent. So what, exactly where is this?
I think it's right there at the area on that, where the fence was between Paul Tyson and the show barn.
Okay. And does everybody understand that that's a permanent easement and it's gonna restrict any kind of expansion and moves as far as you know?
Again, it's right on that line. I don't think it's going to interfere with anything.
So it's actually on the boundary line.
Yeah, I think so.
Is this something Wes has looked at? To get his input?
He's well aware.
He's well aware. Okay.
We've all been working together
Okay.
on this, and again, it was part of the original drafts and stuff.
And I just shared my screen with the, here's Lake Air Drive, and that easement is right through this area.
Okay. All right. Okay, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Pass.
So, I know we've already passed this, but there's a line, there's a big three-phase transformer right where the old Paul Tyson sat. Is that coming down?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Has this been through Walker Partners? Has Walker Partners looked at this?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, yeah, Mike, this was actually done, sorry, let me try to get back to it. This was done by Walker Partners.
Okay.
And I'm going to share, I thought we had already done this a good while back, and it just came back up.
Okay. All right. Under P, under McLennan County Radio Tower Project, P1, discussion or action regarding UPS for the HOT radio tower and Woodway radio tower. Ken?
As we all know, Hot Cog had contracted to build the tower at Woodway, the new Heart of Texas tower. They were taking the funding as far as they could go. They'd actually asked for an extension to go through, but they were only allowed an extension through January 31. They had ordered a UPS, backup battery source, for the tower, and it's been on order, but it wasn't going to make it in January. Or, as a matter of fact, the best idea is it's going to be toward the end of February. I'm coming to the court because I would like to keep that UPS coming. It's a new UPS that's been sized for the tower. And so what I'd like to do is transfer what was the original order from Hot Cog to McLennan County. And we issue a purchase order to the tower company for that UPS. It's 7,000, a little bit less than $7,200.
7141.
Yeah. And so I would just like the court to allow us to do that. I think it's important, and I think we have a new tower, we need a new UPS.
We don't have a choice, it looked like to me,
No.
to do it.
So is that?
That would be my motion to approve P1.
All right, I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, going to item Q under work session items. Justin, do we have anything under work session item?
No, sir, not for today.
And anything executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, I could go to the,
Could we break for a second, Judge? Or do we need to start and then break?
Oh, yeah. We can break up. The next one is the PFC meeting. Won't take too long, but
Okay.
let's go ahead. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Are you
And-
done with this meeting? Are we done?
Yeah, okay.
We
So,
are there.
yes, motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All right, there's a motion second. I think I'll call it adjourn. I appreciate all the support.
Hey, but it's official now, all those in favor.
We adjourn the regular meeting. All right, and now we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
All right, we've posted a notice of public meeting of the McLennan County Public Facilities Corporation Board of Directors. And so we'd like to have proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, January 13th, 2023 at 9:45 a.m.
Okay, under the agenda, the first agenda item, discussion or action regarding the following subjects from McLennan County Public Facilities Corporation. I'd like to bring in our counselor, Mr. Herb Bristow, to
Morning,
open us
folks. Let me just kind of, I don't think that this is going to be a long meeting, but it does kind of give me the opportunity to sort of catch everybody up to date. You have 3 action items on your agenda today. One is to do the annual appointment of officers and directors of the corporation, which is required by the bylaws of the Public Facility Corporation. And we'll need to establish our annual meeting for next year. And then there's an item on there to approve the requisitions that have been processed throughout the year for the operator fee reimbursement back to McLennan County. Judge, do you want to just follow through the agenda, or would you like me to do that for you?
go right ahead.
Okay, so the appointment of the officers is as set out in our bylaws, calls for, and I think you have a resolution
Yes, sir. It's in everyone.
for you that will just appoint the officers that have been in place since we restructured this, which includes the judge, the 4 county commissioners, and then the appointment of the county judge as president, Andy Harwell, the county clerk as the secretary, and Bill Helton as the treasurer. And we need to adopt that annually to stay in compliance with the corporate bylaws.
Okay. Are there any questions on that? The resolution should be in your file. I've got it here in front of me. And it says exactly what Mr. Bristow outlined. Are there any questions anyone would have? If not, is there a motion to approve the resolution to appoint and reappoint officers and directors?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Aye.
President Felton,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Perry.
Aye.
Pass. All right.
And then item B is, again, a requirement of our bylaws is to establish the annual meeting to maintain compliance. And it's somewhat of a moving target because we try to accommodate the Commissioners Court on a date that they're meeting. And we've targeted the first 2 weeks in January. And I think it would be sufficient for the board to delegate that responsibility to the county judge to establish the meeting in January at a time that will match up with the Commissioners Court meeting.
And we can put that in our posting prior to the meeting. We don't have to set that date today, do we? It just gives me the authority to set it.
Yes, and I just generally, I think the board needs to concur that we should have an annual meeting in January of next year.
Okay. All right, is there a motion that we have a meeting in January of 2024?
So moved.
PFC.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
The next item on the agenda is the approval and ratification of actions that have been previously approved, and ratify those actions. The judge on a regular basis receives requisitions primarily from the auditor for the reimbursement of the operating costs, which at the present time we are current on. They have paid through the third quarter of last year, and we will be requisitioning soon for the last quarter of this year. Those requisitions then go to the trustee, and then the funds are paid out of the PFC account back to the county to cover for those operating costs due. All of those have been submitted and approved and just need ratification.
Okay, any questions? What's the pleasure, court?
Move to approve and ratify the minutes from previous meetings and recording of previously approved documents or documents not requiring action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Then just as a summary matter, since we only meet annually, I would just generally report that the PFC financing is working as planned. We have obviously been involved in this refinancing since like 2014 or 15. We are, paying down on the scheduled interest as called for, and obviously it helps to have a high federal population out there at Jack Harwell. That seems to be going well. The facility seems to be operating smoothly, and everything on the financing is on target and on schedule. And you probably don't remember this from back in 2015, but we do have a 10-year review in 2025 and an opportunity to revisit the financing ability to call those bonds if that's appropriate. Right now, the interest rates are favorable, so I think we just continue until that time period. But we only meet annually, so I wanted to at least get everybody sort of generally up to date, and
Okay.
that's where we are.
All right, so what you're saying is the bond language says that in 10 years after its origin, that rates can be considered or refunding can be considered.
Yes,
But
you have a call option in the summer of 2025. So,
Okay. Yeah. All right.
and until then, our rates are fixed at the lower, the earlier tier rates are very favorable.
Yeah.
And obviously the interest rate market is changing daily. So
Yeah.
who knows what it's going to look like in 2025, but the good news is we are rapidly reducing the amount of the debt. We're paying down principal. We're getting paid our operator fees, and it's working as planned.
Okay. Any questions? Is there any action need to be taken on that, or is that just a report?
No, just a general report. I think that's all. And I don't need to go into executive session, so you can pass on that item.
Okay. All right, if there's not any questions, then we will adjourn the board meeting of PFC. All right, thank you, Herb.
Thank you for allowing me to appear by Zoom.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Recording stopped.
That was a nice picture, old Herb.